Hello everyone, this is me, xplogamer. Last time we created this Road Rash game remake where we tried creating these curvy roads and NPC cars using a shader. Now we're going to turn this into an actual game instead of it looking like an endless runner. So let's begin. First off, as you can see, I made this change where the bike actually turns whenever the road curves instead of automatically following it. So this makes the curve feel more real and we have to turn the bike ourselves, just like in the older Road Rash game. In order for it to actually feel like a racing game, I'm going to add these NPC bikes. These bikes will follow a script that makes them ride straight and avoid obstacles, just like in a real racing game. I gave each bike a different speed so all of them feel unique. Some bikes are slow while others are really fast, so we have to beat all of them to win the race. Now as you can see, the streets all look pretty much the same. We're loading the same street again and again. Even the bikers look just like us. We need to add some variation to make the game look better and also add more props to the streets. So instead of going and downloading assets online, I found an even better way to integrate assets into my game. Let me introduce you to Meshy. Meshy is currently the global leader in AI 3D. We can create 3D models just from text prompts using AI, and we can also generate AI images and even turn an image into a 3D model, and it works really well. So let's try it out in this video. I searched for an image of a street light and found this one. So I copied it and pasted it into the image section and told it to generate a 3D model from this. Let's see how it turns out. Meshy 6 just launched and it changes everything. As you can see, it generated this production ready asset within just a few seconds. It even added small details like the screws on top of the streetlight, which weren't even visible in the image. The AI just decided to add them. Now let's give it a texture, which also Meshy can handle by itself. There you go. As you can see, it created a texture with a metallic and slightly rusty feel, just like a real streetlight. Now let's download it. You can export it as multiple file formats. I gave each bike a different color to make them feel more unique, but since the bikers use a texture and not just a plain material, I had to change the texture of each biker to match their bike color. So I used Meshy for that. I took the original texture of my biker and gave it to Meshy, and I told it to change the outfit colors to red and yellow. And as you can see, it generated a new texture that actually looks even better than the original, I would say. Then I applied the texture to the biker, and as you can see, it looks really good, keeping the same design with just different colors. And I created textures for all other bikes using Meshy and added it to the game. Now as you can see, all the bikers look different. They actually feel like real competitors, just like in the original Road Rash game. Then I wanted to create other props you typically see on a Road Rash street, so I decided to make a speed limit sign. I used the chat feature which helped me create assets just by describing them. I told it to generate a speed limit sign with 60 written on it, and it gave me a preview of the image, and I told it yes, generate this 3D model. This is a really cool feature that I liked. You can just chat with it and make it understand what you exactly want. Then I told Meshy to create a fire hydrant, and within seconds it did exactly that. Then I added a texture to it, and now it looks really good. Meshy also has this community feature where you can download assets created by other people. So I found this bush model that I really liked, so I downloaded it. Next I wanted to create this guardrail as you can see in Road Rash game, but I couldn't get a proper screenshot of it, so I went to Google and found this image. Then I created the 3D model. Now when you finish a race in Road Rash, you can see a lot of people cheering for you at the finish line. I wanted to recreate this. I specifically wanted someone cheering there like a cheerleader or a girl. This can be done using AI in Meshy. I found an image on Google, and honestly I wasn't sure if Meshy would be able to create something properly from this image, but I tried anyway, and I was actually shocked. Like, it generated this 3D model of the girl that looked exactly like the image. Next I wanted to give her a cheering animation. For that I needed to rig the model, which also can be done here. There's this rigging feature similar to how we do it in Mixamo. So I used that and browsed through the available animation, searching for a cheering one, and found the perfect one. Now we can officially have someone cheering for us at the end of the racetrack. Let's download it and I'll add it to the game at the end. Meshy 6 is officially live, and use my link below to get 50% off. This is the best time to upgrade your workflow. So now let's add some street obstacles on the footpath, or else the player is just gonna keep riding on the footpath instead of the road because there's nothing to stop them over here. I started by adding the fire hydrant we created using Meshy. Then I gave it a collider and I added the obstacle tag. Now as you can see, when we hit the object we fly off, but fire hydrant stays still. I want it to get knocked off and react just like the bike since it's not as heavy as a car. I added a rigid body and adjusted the tag, and now as you can see, it gets knocked away when we hit it. But I also want the biker to fly off since it still has some weight, and if you're riding a motorcycle at that kind of a speed into something like this, you're definitely going to fall off. I gave it a tag called street object and added the collision check to see if we hit the street object, then the player also crashes. Now as you can see, the object gets knocked away and we crash the bike as well. Then I added the street lights with the same treatment. They get knocked away on impact and we crash as well. Now I wanted the NPC bikes to move in a more realistic way. I can't give them a constant speed throughout. That wouldn't feel natural, right? No one rides at the same speed forever. I gave them 4 different speed levels and they transition between them randomly. The fastest bike can sometimes even go above our max speed, so we have to make sure that we don't crash and maintain our speed so that they don't overtake us. Only at certain moments they get faster than us. Rest of the time they're slower than us. So we have to make sure that we take every chance and stay ahead of them. Then I created a position checking system using ChatGPT, just like in most racing games. It shows us our current position in the race, basically our rank. It was pretty simple to implement. I just had to compare the Z position of all racers and calculated the ranking based on that. Next I wanted to create this grassy area. As you can see in the original game, there's more variations in the level. That way it's not just town everywhere. We also have open grassy sections, which makes the game less repetitive. What I did was I basically copied the existing path and removed all the buildings and footpath and created a huge plain for the grass. I added a realistic grass texture and now as you can see, we have this grassy area. We smoothly transition from the town to the grassy land and then back to the town again. Now to make the grassy land feel less empty, I decided to add some props that we created using Meshy. I added the bushes and trees and spread them around to make it look like an actual place. I also wanted this electric post here, just like in the original game. So I started searching for electric post in Meshy and it wasn't giving me what I wanted, so I was a bit confused. Then I searched on Google and that's when I realized that what we call an electric post in India is actually called a utility pole. So I searched for this utility pole in Meshy and that's when I finally found exactly what I was looking for. Now this electric post, utility pole, isn't going to get knocked down because it's actually very sturdy, just like in most games. I created another variation of the grassland with this guardrail and it looks pretty cool, especially with that shader effect. It was really nice to see. I also made another variation of the town where there is a junction in between, just like in the original game. I only added 2 or 3 buildings to the side because when we're moving along in the straight path, we'll only see a few of them. So there's no need to add too many. If something isn't visible in a game, there is absolutely no reason to add it. Especially on this side of the junction, which won't be visible at all. So I didn't add any buildings over there. This also helps us save performance. Next up is the most important part of Road Rash. This is what separates it from other bike racing games. The ability to hit your opponents. You can actually beat them up and crash their bike, which was insanely fun in the OG game. So let's implement that in our game. I started by creating the attack animations. Now for the logic, I added the NPCs to the player script and made it constantly check their distance to find the closest one. Then depending on which side that NPC is on, the player punches in that direction. Next up was to make the NPCs react and fall off the bike when the punch lands. I created a hitbox on the player's hand so when it connects with them, they react. After taking a certain number of punches, they fall off the bike and they walk back to it and start riding again. This delays their progress, just like it does for us. This was the same as in the OG game. Alright, let's see if he falls off. Yep, he falls off just like us. Now let's see if he goes back to his bike. Okay, maybe there's an error. I forgot to set him as an NPC in the biker script. Let's try that again. He goes to his bike. Oh my god. Okay, there was a collision matrix problem. I fixed that too. Let's try again. Okay, so he walks to his bike and yes, he gets back on and then he crashes onto us and there he goes again. Okay, so the hitbox was still enabled, that's why it happened. So I should enable the hitbox only when we are punching. So now our NPC can finally get back on the bike and ride away like it should. I did the same for all other NPCs. Next I created the finish track. I designed it similar to how it was in the original game. Then added these finish cones, which I made in Meshy. I also recreated the winning animation. It will be triggered when we reach the finish line. The finish line is a separate path which is spawned at the end once all track segments are completed. Our game was functioning like an endless runner till now, so we have to change it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set a variable called number of tracks, and every time a new path is spawned, this number is decreased, and once it reaches 0, the finish path will be spawned, and then the game will finish once you reach the finish line. So I implemented that using ChatGPT, and then I added the cheer girl we created in Meshy and adjusted her size properly and gave her the animation, and now you can see that our game is fully functioning like a real racing game, a proper Road Rash style racing game, because now we can both race against the opponents and beat them up. Don't forget to check out the link in the description to get 50% off on Meshy. Thanks for watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new to the channel. Once this video is out, my game will be available on itch.io to play. I'll provide the link in the description. You can check it out and play yourself. I'll see you guys in the next video.